At this part of the process, all I did was put the engine inside the bay. Had it jacked up with some blocks, the crane, and a couple other jacks to put it where I needed it so I could measure for the motor mounts, make the motor mounts, and get it done. In order to get the motor in there, I had to remove the motor mount extension, unbolt it from the frame, put the engine in, then bolt it back on. There just wasn't enough room to swing it down and back into the hole. Remove that motor mount and went right in. I still got to jack up the back a little bit and adjust the angle, but I'm making the motor mounts right now. This is a view of the driver's side motor mount. You can see that the drive shaft needs to fit right next to the motor in order to get to the front differential. So that even the original motor and this motor needs to be off to one side in the front. I'll show you that a little bit later. Here's a picture of the passenger side between the engine and the frame. Eventually I got to move the back of that engine over towards the driver's side a little bit more so I can get the starter and everything to fit on the driver's side and get the exhaust through this side. This is the engine plates. I'll mount this on the engine. I have another plate on the existing motor mounts for the Humvee, and then I'll put some braces between them to complete the motor mount. Well, I got the 5.9 sitting in the Humvee. I made the motor mounts, and they're connected to the original rubber blocks. A little bit longer on this side to make it so the engine misses the differential and there's room enough for the drive shaft, and it misses the steering knuckle or steering idler arm there. Very close all the way around, and I probably have to put a lift kit on it so I can get the valve cover off at the same, a body lift on it so I can get the valve cover off if I ever need to. But I can't go any lower with the engine. Here's a picture of the driver's side motor mount. As you can see, the black part is where the motor mount that I made is just connected to the original rubber isolator. Here's a picture of the passenger side. You can see the motor mounts going to the frame is much shorter than the original motor mount. And then I put the new motor mount that I made between the engine and the rubber isolator there. I still have to make the transmission mount and fit all that together, and I'm probably going to have to change the routing of the belt a little bit. I don't want it to hit the frame on this side. There's my serpentine belt. You see the issue, the tensioner. If I try to use the old configuration, it's going to hit the frame. The engine's got to sit sideways in this thing in order to make room for the differential and the drive shaft. In order to change the tensioner from way down here where it hits the frame, I made a piece so I can mount the tensioner up here, use the same tensioner the stock Dodge would use, and use a stock alternator, and everything will fit and I won't have to worry about hitting the frame. That's my homemade tensioner bracket. It's probably one from some other model of Cummins, a different engine than that was normally put in a Dodge pickup truck, but I just made one. There's my homemade tensioner mounting point just below the alternator. As I said, it'll allow me to move the tensioner from down below where it would hit the frame up high, and a little bit of shorter belt than standard stock Dodge Cummins, and it works just fine. There's the new tensioner mount in its place, fan belt attached. That's the fan belt number. It's about 54 inches. Here's the transmission I'm putting into the Humvee. The reason I picked it, it's a 47 RE that came with a Dodge pickup truck, so I know it already connects to the Cummins. I already know there's a lot of support out there. It's an overdrive transmission and it's rebuildable. I don't need any adapter plates. I don't need anything but to change the transfer case input shaft, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Here's the transmission in the frame. That thing is pretty heavy. Right now I'm still working on getting the cross member in place and the proper isolator. I used the regular GM transmission mount and that worked great. You see it fits real close to the gas tank and it's real close to everything, so it has to be properly positioned or else it'll cause you problems. In the next video I'll show you what I needed to do to change the input gear of the transfer case to make the stock Humvee transfer case work with the Dodge 47RE, and probably some other additional engine hookups, just so you can see what I need to do there. Thanks.